Yeah, I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Awesome.
All right. So I've started the stream again. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm an ass. La di la di la. Whatever. We can do that. Okay. Did we have any more thoughts on Zul whilst we were kind of?
Yeah. So we're just closing out the point about maybe tying it to Bone Spear. I had a very similar idea, which was mine was you put 2 at level 20. So
Okay.
one of them is maybe like 30-second cooldown. It's mortal wound. It's 50%. It's 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
And it moves a bit faster. And the other's Bone Spear. That was my idea.
Sorry, I'm just tweeting out that we're back. Okay.
Apparently your sound is really bad.
My sound is really bad.
As in Bakery is really quiet.
Wait, are you? Am I quiet for you guys as well?
Bakery is so low. Like, you are no different in my headset right now.
For me, it's the same as well in my headset, but maybe on stream it sounds different. I don't know.
Okay, talk again, Bakery, now.
Hello?
Alright, we'll soon find out in 30 seconds if you're okay. Say a sentence. Say, hello, my name is Bakery.
Hello, my name is Bakery. I'm blasting Dustin Browder for bad design.
Wow. No, don't say that.
And the show is now canceled. Nice.
Damn it.
All it took was one thing from Bakery, and we were actually turned down by Blizzard, officially banned from anything. We can neither play nor cast a single event past this, so.
Alright, wait, I think I've solved it. Maybe.
Okay.
I see yay fixed better. Yeah, it's because Skype turned down my OBS. There you go.
Good job, mate. Well done.
There you go. Saved. Any more thoughts on Zul? Whilst we wrap up Zul's interestingness.
Just really balanced, you know?
Really balanced. We want that as much as possible.
Let's talk about him like after he got nerfed, I think, and then we will see.
Yeah. I think he, like, I'm very interested to see when the patch is going to come, if it's going to come before Korea or, like, one would assume it comes before Korea, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think it's going to need to come next week, or it's going to be too late.
Maybe even 2 patches. Oh no, the kitten woke up. No! Oh god. Last time, so when I was setting this up, the kitten actually turned off my PC. Like, it actually destroyed my PC and my overlays. So that was really fun. Okay, we can move on then. We can go on to community questions. My cat looks dead on this camera. It's just like, no, I don't want to sit here. All right, go on, go away. Where are we going? Main board, current topic. We need to move this down to community questions. All right, so we asked you guys over on the Reddit universe to submit some questions, and I took a few. Any predictions on how Spring Worlds will go? No, we've kind of already covered that one. Or at least who we think is going to do well, at least. Let's move on to one of the bigger questions. From Tatlerich, the warrior role has gone through massive changes over the past years. Peeling, initiation, lane clear, back lane dive, wombo combo, or even being obsolete. This request might be broad, but could you guys talk about warrior's place in the current meta? Often it seems like many of those roles and attributes are covered by a different hero, and the warrior seems obsolete. In Korea, we just saw MVP Black run Mass Warrior, low damage. What the fuck is going on? I didn't need to add that last bit, but there you go. So, guys, what are your thoughts on warriors right now in the meta?
They're good. They're necessary, I think. I mean, in A, we saw a few compositions without, but I don't agree with that kind of style at all. I think it shouldn't work if the opponents know how to draft against it.
Mm-hmm.
I think warriors are in a good place right now. Like Muradin, ETC, Stitches. What do I miss? Is there someone else I forget?
Johanna.
Johanna, yeah. I think Diablo, once he gets debugged, like once his QE works again, I think he will be also fine once more. So, yeah, I think warriors are good. The healthy shape, I think.
Any other thoughts?
I think the fact that this question is even being asked has actually shown a really good adjustment to heroes, warriors specifically, like in the role of competitive heroes. The fact that you can see like the triple tank or the kind of like the no tank approach, I think is really good. And the fact that people are going to, when you're talking about like the damage, the wave clear, the wombo, that you're looking to other roles to get that, I think that's absolutely crucial. Otherwise the role becomes either broken or like if you make every role able to do a little bit of everything, then eventually gets to the point where one of those roles no longer becomes viable. Right. And that was kind of what we saw with tanks for a little bit, where they slowly became like better than every other role. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, and you still see MVP running 3 tanks, right? Because the CC and crowd control will always be useful, but they're not so good that they just like, you're just like, why would you even pick a ranged? Like, just take another tank and you win the game. So I think it's a healthy, it shows healthy movement and balance within heroes. But I think what you see now is the closest thing to what a warrior should be, where some of them provide wave clear, like you have the Johanna. Some of them are more CC oriented, where each one kind of has their little niche thing that they fill, but overall, like they're in a perfect spot.
There was a follow-on question here, actually, from another person, from Stay Frosty. What's your opinion on Rexar in the competitive scene? Do Misha controls need quality of life buffs?
Oh, gosh. In short, this is going to be my answer to any Rexar questions because he's got a buttload of problems. Even if Misha becomes awesome and cool and being able to kill anything, why would you ever need to focus Rexar? Seriously, ask yourself one time where you need to focus Rexar. My camera just shut off randomly. Hello, Europe, is this you? But seriously, it's like a tank needs to not only have CC and like have a gap closer. There's a lot of things that tanks typically need, right? But if they have no reason to be focused, why would, like, they're never going to be good. You can give a tank all the tankiness in the world, all the health in the world, and have a backline, but if he can't actually do anything to make the backline focus him, then he's essentially useless.
But they need to take
the only
Misha.
thing that needs to be focused. Misha's the only one, and Misha's too easy to kill. So it's like, Misha is like literally just like, she kind of falls out and then you're like, okay, kill her. Now you have 20 seconds where you have literally, it's a 4 versus 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. If Misha dies, Rexar is, like, it's useless at all. But
yeah,
I think if they improve the control with Misha a bit more, like, I would like to see Rexar in the meta, actually, because I think he could have his spot, but it's, like, from what I heard from the Warrior players, they say that with Misha, it doesn't feel good enough to play it right now. It's not worth it. So maybe if Blizzard tunes it a bit more, I think he might be decent, because what Misha can do, it's like you can be on one side and Misha is kind of flanking from the other side or setting up a stun from the other side, which is, I think, a very interesting dynamic, because it's basically having like a water elemental all the time or something like that, like a summon that you can control, which comes from the other side or from a flank or checking bushes. I think that's very interesting, and it's a bit sad for me that Rexar is so bad or weak right now.
So I actually put a decent amount of thought into how I would change Rexar, and I came up with a few relatively simple changes. I would increase the leash range on Misha by just a small amount. The basic idea is you can... There's certain spots on the map where if you're sieging a fort, for example, to get Misha to flank, you need to basically stand next to the wall where Misha's over, and it telegraphs it completely. If you could stand just like 2 heroes down and do the same thing, then it would not telegraph it. And it would just make it so much easier to pull off the split Misha Rexar plays, which are so interesting about the hero.
Yeah.
So that'd be my first change. My second is I would give Rexar good attack damage, and low attack speed, because right now he's got like the lowest auto attack DPS of any hero ever. Like, I'm pretty sure Mouth does more auto attack damage though. It just feels so awful to play when his wind-up animation is 5 minutes long, and the time in between the attacks is 10 minutes long. So I'd change that. And my last change would be I would give Rexar about 10-15% increased base move speed at all times.
That I don't like.
That
one
sounds
I
pretty
don't
crazy.
think you need.
I mean,
The
she
reason-
retreats really fast already, but go on.
The reason I like that is it basically it allows him to move quicker through a team fight with Misha. So I'd basically like to see it be a lot about controlling the two separately and a lot about going in and out with each one. And giving him that move speed would allow him to do that a lot better. But as I said, that might make him a bit broken. So
Oh, you meant Rexar, not Misha.
yeah. Wait, did I
Right.
say Misha?
No,
No, you said Rexa.
It's just me
Okay.
being an idiot, sorry.
Right, okay.
That happens. No, that's an interesting thought, actually. Dread, you said you didn't like that too much.
I like I 100% agree with when Misha tries to make a play, Rexar is forcefully articulating that Misha's going to come in and do something. I think that's a huge problem with the kit. I really
Right,
like
yeah.
that adjustment. I think that's crucial, and I agree very much that the dynamic of splitting the two is going to be huge, and this comes down to a lot of the design philosophy of kind of like when it comes to heroes, right? Like how simple and new do they want the game to be? Because that's going to kind of pull away from it. But I think those are really awesome. I just don't like giving a hero base movement speed a higher than somebody else unless they have a reason, like or a disability when it comes to. Like, they either should need to spec into it, they need to lack amount. One of those two, right?
Okay.
Like you have Rhaegar, you have Lunara, fine. But you can't give those heroes that stuff by default. I think it's unhealthy to start creating this not only like adjustment in move speed, but especially on tanks. I just feel like that's a little bit too much.
No, I agree with that actually. Like
If you force it to cooldown like on a Z, or he spec'd into it, like his like 13 talent tier was like he gains movement speed for 20 seconds after using a Q or something crazy like that. That's way better. But there has to be some kind of cost.
yeah, I agree with that actually.
Okay. Moving on to another question that we had from Zubutio. I don't think I'm saying that right. Sorry, Zubu. I only know him as Zubo. So to Dread and Bakery. Now this is something that me and Bakery spoke about before we even went on to this show. But should cleanse be able to be cast on yourself?
You first.
In some ways, yes, but I think you definitely need to make some trade-offs for it to happen. The reason why I don't like cleanse not being able to be cast on yourself is because it forces supports to basically like it just removes the positioning aspect of supports
Yes.
from the game, in my opinion.
I agree.
Before, when you had the cleanse that like not the 2-second unstoppable, the cleanse that just removed all of the stuns when it was cast. When I had that, I would stand in the front line because I was confident in my ability. When a CC would come out, I would be able to pre-cleanse it on myself. And we saw this at BlizzCon, like specifically with Johanna. I would do it all the time against Johanna. Because every time she would chuck a shield, it was such a long animation time that I would just cleanse myself. I would carry on fighting. But now, I literally stand in the back of my team mounted. Because if I go into the front line, I am the only target that they can reliably go on. And if they try and go on anybody else, I click the cleanse button. So that's why I don't like it not being able to be cast on yourself. But the reason why I do like it is exactly the same reason, is that it adds more skill to support's positioning. Because there's a lot of supports that I see who end up in the front line, and then they should be punished for that. You shouldn't be allowed to stand in the front line like an idiot. So I think it's a delicate balance. I think if you could cast it on yourself and it had the functionality that it did at BlizzCon, then I would like that change.
Dread, weigh in?
I'm trying to figure out if I like that idea. I think, oh gosh, from a design standpoint, that's like a weird approach. I think I agree that I think it should be able to be casted on yourself, but I agree very much in the sense with the Bakery thing where it takes away from like Like literally there would be Uthers that could just tank shit, which is really good for his kit even too. So it made it to where it was really not fun to play against. I think they do need to find a way to make it to where there's a heavier trade-off if you're just frontlining with it, to where if you use it properly, you gain an advantage like Bakery was talking about. But at the same time, if you pull away and you are just freely using it on yourself, you're hurting your team more than if you were using it on somebody else. I just think the fact that you force the support role to be the only role that can't be saved if they make a minor mistake is a little bit unfair to the role of support in itself. That might be one of the features that they want the support role to fill. It's kind of like how they view the support role overall. But I think if you made it to where the cooldown was twice to 3 times as long if you use it on yourself, would be something to look at. Or just that it has a different use. But I think using it on yourself, as long as it's before the CC hits, never during. Never. That should never be a thing. Only if the CC... Only if, as long as you pre-cleanse it, you should have a way out, but you shouldn't have it to where you can just do it all the time like you could in the back in the day. So,
Hasu, any thoughts? I mean, I know you don't play support as much, but
I think Splendor shares the same opinion as Bakery about the cleanse, from what I understand. So, yeah, I think I agree with him.
So I wrangled that towards the supports. Now coming over to this is specifically asked towards Hasu, but I'm sure everyone can kind of talk about it as well. Tychus rework is coming. What changes do you think he needs to be played in competitive? There's 2 parts to this question, so I'll ask this one first.
So let's see. I used to be I used to play a lot of Tychus. I had him like level 16 or something. When back in the days when you played like Tychus Abatur, I was only playing Tychus. It was so broken. But when they changed his Odin, I think right now the biggest problem is maybe his heroics. They are both so useless. I think the laser is not very strong, and the Odin, like you have to set up before the fight, but if you do that, they run away. If you set up in the fight, it's usually too late, or you just die. And like both heroics feel too weak. And then the kit he has himself, I think a Q is okay. The Granite, I mean, it does wave clear, and he has an escape on his E, so that's not too bad overall. But yeah, so if they rework his ultimates, I think that would be a first step. And I think his auto attack should be something else. I don't like it actually, even though it's unique. It doesn't feel good. I think the way you have to auto attack with Tychus.
Yeah, they were mentioning, or at least I saw some comments saying that it was like, it's like the only trait in the game that's kind of a disadvantage. I think, if I can remember correctly, what people were saying.
Void Prison level 20.
When they nerfed Tychus from how broken he was in Alpha, I think they didn't really understand the best way to nerf him.
Yeah.
His trait initially made him do ridiculous damage, just like DPS. His Q did far too much damage, his grenade did far too much damage, and then the Odin with double health was broken. And they nerfed all of it. And that left him in a situation where his auto attack is now no better than, let's say, Folstad. Even though the whole point of it is that if you go into that close range and if you stack it up, you get a lot more damage. But you just don't anymore because they nerfed it. His Q is the same kind of issue where it used to do a lot of damage. It used to reward him for being close range. But when they nerfed it, like, it now no longer does enough damage to justify standing in close range for that long. Or if you leave him in a solo lane in 1v1, it does far too much damage to allow him to do that. So just in general, I don't think they understood the best ways to nerf the hero, and what ended up happening is every aspect of him ended up being far, far too weak.
Makes sense.
So what was the original question?
The original question was...
What kind of rework he needs to be viable again, I think?
Yeah, okay, so, oh gosh. There's so many different ways that you can fix Tychus and make him viable that I'm not even going to like begin to speculate. I can tell you one that's going to be like my opinion where I would like to see him actually go, because I think he did something that we don't get to see that often, is I would actually like to see, number one, I think I would like to see him kind of as like a ranged, like almost like not a bruiser, but kind of a little bit beefier. Okay. I loved his Q. I absolutely loved his Q. And I think he fills a role play style that kind of like Jaina and Vala did, where it's like a flank Tychus is terrifying. If you like have that backline and he abuses Fog of War and he flanks and he drops a deep Q, like he will rip your backline apart, right? And back in the day when he had double the health pool and everything else, it made him very, very strong because he would do that and then you would just Odin up and then you're like, okay, now I'm like terrifying. I've dove in your backline. Your squishy's already too low. You kill me once. I come back to life. I have stone skin, first aid. I can do it again. He literally had like 3 health pulls. So like that was too much. But I think that was part of the reason he was so good. Obviously, Odin was a different beast and everything else, but I feel like his Q mechanic, if they found a way to, first of all, the fact that you have to spec into a talent to make it go from like the only useful part of his kit at level 1 with the 20%, how that's not default, I just don't even know.
Yeah.
That blows my mind that they haven't made that just innately like, here's a 20% buff to his Q.
Yeah.
But then like things like, I think like Melting Point was like cool. I think it was a little too unhealthy. But I think it was a cool approach to his kit. I feel like leaving his kit to allow him to flank backlines would be awesome. I think that would be one of the coolest ways to approach his kit. It makes where he becomes relevant very different. Obviously, his ults are his biggest flaw, without a doubt. Being able to walk away from both is just like, okay, well, why is it a heroic if I can just like not even burn Gust and walk away from it?
Yeah. I mean, like, Hasu was saying that the Odin or whatever, like, the problems that come with it exist or whatever, but if you made him the flanker like you're suggesting here, Dread, then you could in theory try and pop Odin in a bush or something like that and then try and come in from the side. Or is this something that could be cool for him? I mean, it sounds kind of cool. Like,
I would like to see like Odin kind of be like Wrath, where it's like it just makes him stronger rather than like it will never be able to, but like just in concept where he can be that flank still with it, where he's right now he's just a wimp and he just auto attacks and he's like, I just feel like they need to find a way to where Odin is not only swift, but it's like he's not just auto attacking when he's Odining.
So reduce the windup of Odin.
That is without a doubt. If they're going to keep Odin how it is, it has to be shorter. It has to be. It'll never be good. Especially if you're not going to nerf Gust, which whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
I think at some point they changed the W of the Odin. Like like back in the days, if you pressed W, you hit like the guys that were around you. Now it's like a skill shot, but a very slow one. And even if they don't juke, they don't take damage. So, like, I think there's a lot of things they could change, and they probably should have done it already. But I mean, maybe they are reworking him completely. So maybe Tychus will be something completely new once they are done with him.
All right, we've got time for one final question then, as long as everyone's done on their Tychus thoughts. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Wait.
Oh, go on. Say something.
Okay.
All right. The second part of that question actually was, Hasu, which unit from StarCraft 2 would you like to see in Heroes of the Storm?
Goliath, I think. Oh wait, is it? No, it's not even a StarCraft 2 unit. But
What the
from the Let me go from the StarCraft universe. It would be Goliath. I think.
Okay. Goliath. Interesting. But, like, it's mostly anti-air.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just like the artwork of it. I think it's cool to have, like as a...
Like a big mech always walking around.
And if it should be a Protoss, maybe Sentry. Yeah.
We already have Force Field. Oh, wait. No, they're kind of
No. Like the Sentry is some kind of a spellcaster, I think. Not with Force Field, but like if it should look like that, and then it should be a spellcaster.
Like Guardian Shield.
Mm.
Hallucination in a different mode to Nova would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
God, actually, that'd be sick now I think about it. You hallucinate a Thrall and just send it through a bush. Everyone wastes their ults on it. It's like, damn it! You guys, actually, do you... Jet Bakery knows StarCraft, because he tried to cast it at one point. Just dropping that in there. Just dropping that in there. Bakery, what would you like to see from StarCraft?
I'd like to see a Colossus.
What is wrong with you? Oh, God.
The most boring unit in StarCraft.
No, but I mean, the implementation was awful, right? But the very first StarCraft 2 tech demo, where the Colossus had like sweeping lasers, it was like an ability and it didn't auto attack or whatever, and it like absolutely destroyed Zerglings.
Okay.
Like the concept of the Colossus is what I'd like to see.
Okay.
It would look pretty cool in Heroes, I think. I can imagine it, yeah.
Just so you know, Dread, I'll tell Bakery to link you those amazing casting VODs afterwards.
Yeah, dude, I need in on that.
Dread, any thoughts on what you'd like to see from the StarCraft universe? Because actually, I mean, as much as we are talking about this, there actually isn't that much from the StarCraft universe in comparison to the other ones anyway.
I feel like part of the reason for that, I didn't realize that until we had this conversation, is I feel like it's because StarCraft is hard to pull from because they're all like their races intertwined so far. So the minute you make like Kerrigan, for instance, you already remove like, okay, so Zagarum removes 2 units from being made in the game.
Yeah.
Roaches will never be a thing, and Banelings will never be a thing because she does both of those like
And Hydra.
within
And
her
Hydralisk,
kit.
yeah.
So and Hydralisk. So all 3 of those units already removed. Like, because I was thinking in my head, I want a Baneling. I think a Baneling, like a suicide bomber style hero, would actually be sick.
Oh my
Like
god.
I have no idea how you would do it or whatever. Like you would argue, well, Berkey kind of fills that role, but I want the guy who just like goes in and just like commits Sudoku one time and just like helps your entire team. But that'll never be a thing. So I can't think of any because I've never like kept track of the story or anything.
Okay.
I only know like the PvP units, like very basically, and all of them are already taken. Like Zeratul and Tacit are both like I was thinking Sentry would be one that I actually liked, but then he brought it up, so I have nothing.
Before they actually implemented the Lieutenant Morales, I thought that the idea of a medevac support would be a kind of a cool idea to always have a flying thing, but then kind of it be in this weird space. It would be so hard to balance, of course, because like you could just encroach on enemy territory, very easy to scout or something like that. I like the idea of being able to somehow implement the mothership. But that in itself would take a lot of work, I think. I'm sure you'd probably agree, Hasu.
Yeah, Mothership, I don't even know if I would like it too much, to be honest. But maybe if they can make it work. I mean, in Heroes, the balance is not as fragile as in StarCraft 2, so they can test way more things and implement way more things. So I think it's a very good playground for the developers, actually. So.
Yeah, probably. All right, and we, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to end on that note. It wasn't exactly the most amazing last question, but there you go. That's how it goes. Last but very not least, we do have shout-outs from our members. So, Bakery, we'll work down the row. Why don't you take it away first, buddy?
So, shout-outs to Team Dignitas, as always. They're really awesome. Shout-outs to my team, who are really awesome. Shoutouts to my fans, because they're really cool. I'm trying to stream a lot more. I'll be streaming tomorrow, so you can have that to look forward to. I'd like to thank everyone who put up with this microphone, as I will be getting a new one next week, so you have that to look forward to.
Great.
And finally, I'd like to thank my 2 co-hosts, Dreadnought and Kaelaris, for making this happen, because this is really cool.
All right, Dread, you?
All right. Well, for me, it's obviously anytime I have the opportunity, thanking everybody who supports me in any way, shape, or form. So thank you. You guys are more important than the rest. Obviously, shout out to Temple of Storm for all the support that they're giving me at any point. Other than that, it's pretty much just doing my best to not suck at life and try and provide some kind of content. Twitter @TempleDread, Twitch Dreadnought_heroes, YouTube Dreadnoughts videos is currently it. Still trying to figure out what to do with that URL.
Why are they all so
other
different?
than that, mainly because Dreadnought's not the most uncommon name.
Yeah.
So I kind of got bodied there.
Oh, sorry, bro. I've got /Kaelaris everywhere, but there you go. All right, Hasu, on to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a good time. Thanks to my team, My Sanity, all the sponsors, and thanks to all the guys that are watching right now, the people that are following me, obviously. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in for our basically experimental episode number 1. It was a lot of overlays I wanted to make and a lot of experimenting with graphics and stuff. Make sure to follow myself @Kaelaris on Twitter. And also, we made a new Twitter for the show itself @State of the Nexus. I'm very glad I got that. I'm really surprised this didn't exist in any way, shape, or form before making this. But there you go. So we got that very, very easily as well. Make sure to follow us on this channel, because whenever whenever we go live, then you'll know. And just keep up with our Twitters, and that is awesome. I'll draw the Cloud9 mount code winners in just a bit once we go offline. But hopefully we're expecting to make this a weekly show, because obviously we have people that are very, very busy in teams, and also myself, I'm like casting 2.5 games, so it can sometimes be difficult. So, Bakery, Hasu, good luck in Korea. If I don't see you before that, I say that, I'm just going to go on to TeamSpeak with Bakery in a moment anyway. And Dreads, yeah, nice to have you from all the way across the pond. Thank you very much, buddy.
It's a pretty big pond.
It's a pretty big pond indeed. All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see you next time for more State of the Nexus.